So Mehdi asked, like, would you want to do like a rehash of that talk you did like way ago, or maybe like do the exact same talk again? I was like, the exact same talk? No way. But rehash sounds fun. So that's what I try to do. Now it got a lot more complex because this is also the metrics, feedback, and analytics track that we are organizing. So I somehow had to like arm wrestle some of that into this. So this is a whirlwind presentation, and what I'll try to do is give you a really quick rundown of what makes a great developer portal. It's going to be just the key, like the Cliff Notes version, so it's going to be very quickly, and then talk about a new trend that I'm seeing and what that means for metrics and and what you're all here for. So first, the quick rundown, Dev Portal architecture overview, the basics. This probably I don't need to say anymore, that developer portals are more than reference documentation. Long time ago, 7 years, when we started with developer portals, we had to tell that to people, like, reference docs are not enough. These are the 4 core things you probably should be thinking about that are really important. Well, it's 4 that I think are important. Maybe you have different ones, but self-service is really important. How can you facilitate access to APIs? Thinking about your dev portal as an interface, meaning it's a tool to manage your community and to like constrain the information that flows between you and your audience, and then and that helps you to manage your program. That's I think a really key one. Trust signal, super important. Like when you're making the commitment to develop an integration with an API, that's an expensive decision that you're making. So you need to make sure that the developers can trust you and that they know that you're going to be around and that the work that they're going to do investing in your API is not going to be wasted. And then the last one from Matthias Büscher from Deutsche Bank, this visual of developer portals as a toolbox, meaning that you need to think about your dev portal as a place where you have different tools that are sorted together so that people can quickly find the tool that they need for the job that they're trying to do. So 4 core concepts to ponder about. Next, dev portal, developer experience. Very quick thing. This is the simplest thing for me to make it concrete, because developer experience is this very vague thing. If you talk about it in terms of friction, it makes it really easy to understand, and you can go looking for friction and create a friction log and then do something about the friction. And then also that's the usage of your APIs depends on your developer experience, but also about the perceived API value. So it's not just the value of your APIs, because you can have the best possible API if you don't explain how it's good or why it's good. If people can't see that it's good, they won't use it. And both of these two things you can impact through your dev portal. You should also think about different audiences for your dev portal. It's not just about developers, it's about everybody. Well, not everybody, but a whole bunch of different people in your organization. So think about support, sales, marketing even. Think about developer advocates, people that are working with your communities, and then also of course, with the people that are creating APIs and consuming APIs, and the tech writers. Again, a very quick rundown. These are types of content that you will need on a dev portal. Some of them you don't necessarily need, but they're good to have because they can be very useful for helping you communicate with your customers. And these are some of the key topics that you should be addressing. Now, I go in depth, like I do a webinar where I go in depth on this. I wanted to give this for people that are here for the first time, and I want to like, what you went to all this very much in-depth stuff, like what's the basics? Give me the basics. That's why I'm doing this. And then the last topic that is going to lead us to where I really want to go, and where it gets juicy, is this one, which is you should be thinking both about technical and business audiences in your dev portal. not just on the consumption side, not just for the people that are going to look at your documentation, also at the side of people that are creating documentation. So how are your business owners, how are the product managers able to contribute to your documentation? Do you have tooling that enables them to create documentation? Or are you forcing them to go to GitHub and do a pull request that maybe they're not comfortable doing? If you're forcing your business people to do pull requests, it's not necessarily going to work. Now, that said, there's a new trend on the horizon that we've seen in the community that I wanted to talk about because I think it's really important. And it's hopefully bringing us closer to the future that I think we should be aiming for with what we're doing here with APIs. And that trend is the rise of the technologist. We had this conversation, well, I'll start here a bit. So we had this conversation at the DevPortal Awards with the jury, where there was a really interesting thing that they were remarking was that this strict separation between developers and business people, that's something of the past. Like if you're forcing your business, if you're saying like, oh, you're a business person, don't you worry your sweet little mind. We're going to give you like the business stuff. Don't you, there's no need for you to go and look at the technical documentation. That's not a really nice thing to do. Similarly, if you have the developers and they're like, oh yeah, here's the docs, like, you don't care about business anyway, right? That's also not a very smart thing to do. Actually, these personas are merging. And I don't remember if it was the jury members that were telling the story, but I heard, it might have been at DevRelCon that I heard the story of a C-level executive who basically dove straight into the technical documentation, who wanted to understand how is this integration going to work? How are we going to make this work? How is this going to help me to build a business case and this business integration? And that, I think, is super interesting. Because what is really the purpose of your dev portal? If you think, do you think it's this? Do you think it is about writing code? Because often people think it is about writing code, right? Because we're trying to make it easier for developers to write code. But the problem is, if this is your goal, you're making it easier to write code, and you might be actually optimizing for the wrong thing. Because what if this would be your goal? What if making a cheaper and faster integration or digital experience would be your goal? Then you would have different ideas of what you could be doing to accelerate that. Things that might not even involve code, that might be low, no-code solutions. And this is the core thought that I want to give you out of this session, that hopefully you can take away and take back to your teams to think about and to maybe act on. Because I stole this slide from Mark O'Neill this morning, who had the same picture up, or I don't know if it's the exact same picture, but it's the same billboard up. This idea of ask your developer is kind of patronizing. It's kind of saying like, don't you worry your sweet little mind. You just deal with your business stuff. We'll deal with the heavy lifting and the developer stuff. That's not okay. I think that this has to change. Because if you make this really strict split between content, between business and technical content, basically you're telling people to stay in their own box and not to think in an integrated way. And this is going to limit your ability to be successful, both on the developer side and on the business side. As I said, this is something that came out of the DevPortal Awards. I want to do a quick plug. Tonight at 5 o'clock is the gala. We wanted to have it on a big screen. It didn't work out, but you can still follow it online. If you go to devportalawards.org, it's free, it's open, everybody can participate also. Well, you can't participate for this year anymore, but next year you can participate if you have a developer portal. It's vendor neutral. It's not just Pronvix customers, anybody's welcome. Now, so this merge of the developer and the business persona to the technologist, what does that do otherwise? There's a couple of repercussions. First, I think it's to some extent changing how dev portals are. I'm not sure if this is completely connected to it, but it's, you know, if you're where you have only so much energy and space to pay attention to things. And if you can merge these two with each other, you can do differentiations in other places and start thinking about other kinds of ways that you could cut the audience to do things. And I'm going to propose 2 ways that you could think about cutting your audience to achieve better results. The first one is to resegment around jobs to be done. What I mean with that is, like imagine you have an API, imagine you're a telco. And you have, or no, let's say bank. That's an easy one, or easier for me because I have one example in mind. Imagine you're a bank and you want to offer integration solutions because that's sticky. It's going to get your customers to stay with you, and maybe there's some additional value you can gather from that. What would be more useful, to give them an API and say like, hey, small, medium-sized enterprise company, hey, mom and pop shop, here's an API, good luck. Or here's a widget, you can plug it into your internet, maybe you don't have an internet, or maybe you can put it on your phone and it will tell you how much money is on your bank account. What's more useful? The second one, I think. So thinking about what jobs are there to be done and how can you make it easier to get to those jobs. And that might be about like small, medium-sized enterprise or medium enterprise or large enterprise. Could also be about business verticals. Do you have an offering for bicycle repair shops? Like we have a customer, KBC, that actually has this on their portal, like a QR codes for bicycle repair shops to get an insurance quote or things like that. But you can target specific segments and then offer them a range of solutions at different layers of abstraction, like an API on a really low level, an SDK on a higher level, widgets on an even higher level, all together so that they can choose themselves what is the best solution for me and given my resources and what I'm trying to do. Now, by all means, for God's sake, don't use your department structure to structure your portal. Like people don't really care about how you're organized inside. That has no business in your portal. Like I know that you really love your products and how and the names of your products, but that's not a good way to structure your documentation because people have to then already understand what your products are and what products might be useful for them. There's a good chance that they don't know, and you don't want to force people to do that. So I have an example that I wanted to show because there's already examples in the wild that are doing this other segmentation. TomTom has this segmentation where you got maps, directions, places. These are all things that normal people understand, like, right? Yeah, I want to track something. Okay, here's the tracking tools that we have available. Really love this. I think this is what we need to go towards. Now, there's the second type of segmentation is about the types of developer portals that you might want to build. Because we get often questions from customers like, we want a developer portal, or we want an API marketplace. And then we start asking, and they want to like do this end-to-end thing, which is really fancy and would be nice if that would be possible. But today, unless you want to spend a lot of money on a specific way of doing things, it's not that obvious to do it that way. Instead, I think right now I've seen in the market a segmentation in 3 types of portals that I've seen customers build and talk about. First one is production portals. Production portals are developer portals that are there to make it easier for developers to produce APIs or interfaces or whatever. They make it like they're really focusing on what Gartner calls the fast road to production. I think this is a separate thing. I've seen customers build separate portals specifically for this purpose, where they integrate the API design tools and things like that to facilitate collaboration around API design and the production and development of APIs. Second type is what I call platform portals. Now, few people are doing platform portals today because I think there's this wishful thinking that you can turn API soup into a platform, but that doesn't work that way. You have to actually invest in an API platform. But I believe that creating a platform that makes it easier for your internal community to create great software at scale, fast and inexpensively, I think is the other purpose that you could see for portals. What you need for that is to have some sort of governance so that you can decide what APIs you will add to your platform, which ones are mature enough, which ones fit together, are they composable? There's another topic that Gartner talks about. How do you make it easier for people to do their job and to work inside of your organization? Yeah. Oh, I'm going really fast, actually. Maybe I didn't have to hurry so fast through the first part. The last one is external portals. And external portals, and here again, this is taking that earlier idea about segmentation and applying it to this. External portals, there's an opportunity to focus them around specific boutique experiences. So can you think, what are the main customer segments you have in your organization? What tools do you have for them? Can you create an interface that guides people through those tools so that they can find the right tool for the right job? And the way that I think about it is like the difference between like a supermarket, where you just have a bunch of stuff, not too much details, but it's like findable, which I think is what a platform portal kind of could be, versus like a shopping mall, where you go in as a customer and you find the right shop for your needs, and then you find the interfaces that are going to help you with that job. Then what does this mean for metrics and analytics? Bringing it back to our track for today. I think we need to think more about the business metrics for like how are we contributing with our APIs to the business? And Meenakshi, you're actually doing this already. So you had examples about, okay, how much money are we generating? Very few API programs do this today, I think. Also, partially this is because not all APIs have a direct monetary contribution. A lot of them are indirect, contributing to the bottom line, because APIs often are like a complementary product to some other product that you're selling. But how do you connect those two? Can your API program and your developer portal help you with SEO? Can you drive traffic from your dev portal to your products? What's the journey for someone who's like looking for an API, finds a really, really nice API that does exactly what they need, to now, okay, what am I going to do with this, and how do I subscribe and sign up for that product that I need to be able to do that? And then the other thing that's, and I had this before the conversation this morning, but UX research. It's like there was this remark that I thought was really insightful about feedback. Like often customers ask for feedback features on their dev portal. And then, okay, the easy answer is to just build that and then give them like, here you are, you have a feedback feature on your dev portal. The thing is, reality is that people, the customers that are visiting your dev portal actually don't use the feedback form. So it's just kind of like almost just check the RFP checkbox feature that does not give value, because it's consuming real estate in your dev portal, but people are not really actually using it. So instead, I think it's more useful to think about UX research and more active, proactive practices, where you have people that will go and find the feedback and ask for the feedback that is necessary. It's similar to the forum question. So often when customers ask us like, okay, we want a dev portal. Okay, great. What would you like in your dev portal? Often the question used to be a little while ago, like, we want a forum. And I would say, that's interesting. Do you have a community manager? No. So then I don't think you should have a forum. I think it's actually going to harm you to have a forum. But still, there's this empty promise of free support that people want to buy, and then they have this feature that actually just takes up real estate and might actually harm the company. And this is a pattern that I see often, where we are looking for a material, like a product solution, a product feature that's going to solve a problem or that's going to give us something, but you can't get it without actually doing the work, having the practices in place, having the competencies in place to actually get to that result. And very similar here is this idea of thinking about UX as a tool for pulling that out of the customers instead of hoping that they're going to give it to you for free. So this was a whirlwind. I see people sagging a bit. The CO2 is going up. It's also the time for cookies and coffee. Where can you find more? If you want to find out more about developer portals, again, go and check out devportalawards.org. It's free, it's open, it's for the community. We organize it, we sponsor it, but it's by the community as much as we can make it. There's really insightful interviews with the jury members that can get you really interesting ideas about where is the space going, what's happening in the dev portal world. I really, really strongly recommend it. If you can't watch it tonight, then go and, if you sign up, you get the recordings, but go and check it out. I also have this interview that I did together with Mark Bergauer with Jay Bloom. Jay Bloom works at Red Hat. He's working on, he's a philosopher. He's a IT philosopher, and he's thinking about platforms and things like that. And he has we did this interview with him where it gets pretty philosophical, but it's very interesting because we're talking about a model he developed called the 3 economies model that talks about different ways of managing teams that are working on software, depending on what the purpose is. So you have the managing a team for scale, which is the scaling part, managing a team for differentiation. And what he's talking about is that managing a team for building a platform requires a different mindset. Because if you manage a team that is trying to build a platform for scale or for differentiation, so if you're trying to increase variability, like differentiation, product stuff, or you're trying to decrease cost in your platform team, and API teams are platform teams, then you get really bad outcomes because an API team and a platform team should be managed for reuse, not for these two things. So really, really interesting stuff. There's also a post we have about developer experience KPIs. This is something that was put together by Jenny Wanger a while ago. This is available for free on our blog. Can be useful. And I'm sorry. Yeah, if some people still want to take a picture. All of this content is freely available on our blog, on our site, and also we send updates on our newsletter whenever we're writing about this kind of stuff. And if you want that, then sign up here, and you'll get the notifications when we get something new. Right now, I'm thinking about marketplaces and how to actually make them work beyond the dream of, oh, we're going to sell people stuff and we're going to make tons of money, which is completely bonkers and not realistic, to, okay, what should a marketplace really look like and how do you go and do that? And a couple of other things. So, come and follow us. Thank you very much for joining and for listening.
Thanks, Kristof, very much for your talk. Again, this was quite interesting, and one part that I really liked was this, like what I would call, like even saying it's like a mindset shift to think of your developer portal not as something that helps people write code, but that really helps them to integrate in whatever the way that might be, and not like thinking of this technical, non-technical dichotomy. So does anyone have a question they want to ask to our speaker? Yeah.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure the Dev Portal Awards in a previous year, maybe this year as well, had a category for best like DX innovation. And I'm really interested in, is there an innovation that you've seen that no one else is doing? Because I've scoured through many different dev portals and you start to see similar features, but are there any out there which are like, I've not seen this before and it's really standing out as an innovation?
So a lot of these, like this really cutting edge, really cool stuff is when you get some sort of deep synergy between your product and your documentation. So like some of the coolest are like live testing stuff, so, actually using the products like a sandbox or something like that, and then having like a live coding tutorial and that kind of stuff. It's not for everybody. Like a lot of companies that have APIs can't actually do that. I think the best DX innovation for you on your dev portal depends on your business. So like, I know that you have like map icons, or like in your Swagger tutorials on the TomTom site. Oh no, sorry, I'm mixing up people. That was not you. Yeah, sorry, that's Fiserv. We had like, how can you contextualize your documentation? Like, how can you? Some of this is maybe, this goes maybe a little bit against the business part, but this delighting developers, that is something that often is said. Yeah, I would say have a thought about the combination of your business domain, who your audience is, and something cool that you can make it really easy to get some value quickly. That I think is a key. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. I would definitely pick your brain during the break.
Okay, so, or just look through the submissions and then what the audience, what the jury says. Yeah, thanks, Danny.